एक ऐप लॉन्च हुआ था जिस
Hello and welcome to the F&O Show on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Darshan Mehta. Good morning, Agam.
Good morning, Darshan. I'm Agam Vakil. Let's start by taking a look at the headlines. Indian markets open with gains for the fourth straight day. The Nifty trades around 12,150. The broader markets see gains as well. Open interest is rising in Mindtree and Kerala Healthcare towards fresh longs. Avenue Supermarts trades with healthy gains after it launches a 4,000 crore fundraising drive through a QIP. And Sun Pharma and Eicher Motors, along with Hero MotoCorp, are the three Nifty companies reporting their earnings today. But what are the markets suggesting right now, Darshan?
I think it's a decent trend. Third day of buying that we saw after the massive day buying that we saw on Tuesday, again on Wednesday. Yesterday we were up 100 points, and today on the Nifty we are up almost 50 points. So there is enough buying that's happening. Fresh buying is seen. We are at a discount, and the discount has also narrowed. It was down 20 points. Now it's just 4 points on the Nifty. The Bank Nifty is up significantly. It's up. It's seeing open interest build up of 13% on the long side. So the trend certainly seems to be on the positive side. Where are positions being taken? Let's take a look. I think the put writers will be much more aggressive from levels of 11,900 to levels of 12,100 is where the currently Nifty is. At 12,100 to high level, it's the put writers. But today, it's the put writers which are active. They expect the markets to even consolidate and rally further. So that's the trend. Anything on stock specific side?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are a bunch of stocks out there. And of course, a couple of them that we're going to address as well in today's day of trade. But let's pull up that list of all the stocks which are seeing an increase in open interest. And we can take a look at Mindtree, which is just on a tear. What an outperformer this one has been. It's at a 6-month high, and it has more or less largely recovered the kind of weakness that it did see. That was last year when the takeover from L&T happened. It's back at around 940, about that mark. Divi's Labs is showing a lot of strength right now. It's advancing. Kerala Healthcare top line growing 3%, but earnings ahead of expectations, which is why it is looking at 5% or rather 4% up move there as well, with an 11% increase in open interest. Shriram Transport Finance is the other one, which is looking at surge in OI towards longs, and IGL, of course, also coming through with the good gains coming in open interest. Let's take a look at stocks which are seeing possible unwinding. There isn't much except for Vodafone Idea and Glenmark seeing about a short covering. But on the whole, Darshan, I reckon the pharma space remains in focus.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think Divi's Lab for one is something that is in focus. It was an inline set of numbers, but I think the guidance that is coming in, the API issue that is there globally, all those factors contributing positively to Divi's Lab. But let's take a look at some of the stocks. So Divi's is up 5% on high open interest build-up, trading at record highs. So let's take a look at some of the stock futures, some of the stocks that we will address on the show. Shriram Transport, after a massive 10% move yesterday, today again Shriram Transport has gained for the second day. Z has snapped the 2-day losing streak, and then the drop was mainly on account of corporate news flows that came out. And finally, Mindtree is at a 6-month high. We'll discuss what's happening with Mindtree with our guests.
Okay, well, it's time to get in our experts. But before that, if you have any queries regarding futures and options markets, you can call us on 022-454-04141. Of course, write to us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube with the AskBQ hashtag. Today we have with us Gaurav Bissa of LKP Securities and Hemen Kapadia of KR Choksi joining us on the show. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for taking the time out. Gaurav, I start with you. Where do you see the benchmarks heading on from here? We've seen the Nifty recover at 12,000 and now today 12,100 as well.
Good morning. If you see the last few days' data, you will see, and I have discussed this on a channel earlier as well, that there has been a shift in option range we are talking about. 11,500 put come under the highest concentration. It got shifted towards 11,800, and we saw an upward drift coming in Nifty index as well. Now we are seeing comfortable selling happening in 12,000 put option. I'm not talking about the current expiry because it's going to be worthless today. But if you see the next week expiry as well, you will see the similar kind of data where 12,000 12,000 put options commanding a decent OI concentration. So implying that that is going to be acting as support. So these supports are shifting higher. It generally means that the trend is positive. I would not recommend buying at the current juncture because we have already seen a very strong move, a stupendous move coming in the Nifty index in the last few days. So any dip towards 12,050, which is the breakout level on technical charts, can be bought. Keep a stop loss of 12,000 on the upside. 12,170, 180 is what I would be looking at. So the bias remains positive. It has given multiple breakouts on hourly charts. So any retracements towards those levels, retesting of breakout levels, would make it more lucrative.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Hemant, what's your overall strategy on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty if you have one?
Yes, very good morning, Darshan. Thank you for having me. I'm seeing some almost 14% OI addition as far as the Bank Nifty is concerned. Now it has moved from 29.6 to 31.200. So we've had a great move. Seeing a 14, I mean, obviously this will change at the end of the day. But if there is such a big OI addition at this point in time, I would be just a wee bit cautious. We might walk into a bout of resistance. As far as the Bank Nifty is concerned, I think 31.2 will be a source of resistance. So I would be slightly cautious on the Bank Nifty. Corresponding level for the Bank Nifty, for the Nifty would be around just slightly around 12,220. So I would wait a bit. If a correction doesn't come in, obviously one would not short a market that has so much of surprising momentum, frankly speaking. So I would wait a tad bit. Yes, closer to 30,600 is where I would go long with the Bank Nifty. Currently it's not a trade, but like I told you, a significant OI addition at this point in time might just include a short-term short position.
Okay, well, in that case, let's talk about stocks then. And Hemant, I'll come back to you on stocks that are looking interesting to you today.
Yes, I think LIC Housing Finance is something which looks interesting. One can buy LIC at around 407, stop loss 402, target 417 oversold. We are playing for a bounce, a recovery, not a rally. Godrej Consumer, I will have to tweak the figures a bit because buy Godrej Consumer at 654, stop loss 650, target 668. Logic is once again it's oversold. Two, we're set for a recovery, and you've seen HUL going all over the place. I believe Godrej Consumers would catch up.
Gaurav, what are the stocks that you would want to speak on today?
The first recommendation would be on HCL Tech. I have both the names within the same space. HCL Tech, for the matter that we have seen a good breakout sort of happening. Some amount of addition is seen in the open segment. 600 put option also commanding some OI consolidation. So some writing is happening at those levels, implying that there can be some upward thrust that we can see in the name. One can keep a stop loss of 603, play for targets of 630, and if that sustains, some fresh upside can be seen further. Second recommendation would be sell on Tech Mahindra. Again, as I said, in a similar space, it has shown a bearish harmonic pattern. We call it a bearish bad pattern around 825. It can slip towards 790. One can keep a stop loss of 845 and be short in the name.
Okay. From there on, we talk about a handful of stocks we want to address, and I'm going to start off with Mindtree. We've seen a lot of strength coming on for this particular stock. It's trading at a 6-month high. It's up 4% today as well, and its open interest increase of as much as 35%. That said, if you want to pull up the 3-month chart and take a look at how things are panning out for Mindtree, certainly very well, because there has been gains coming in for this IT company, and is possibly the only IT company which has seen consistent gains over the last 3 months as well as compared to many other ones. Gaurav, how would you address Mindtree right now? Would you buy Mindtree? I know it has seen a stellar rise, but even at these levels, would you want to play on to the momentum?
It is looking good. It's already seen a strong move. It has given a flag breakout as well, but the breakouts were at levels of 920, 922. It's at 945. So any dip towards 930 can be bought. Keep a stop loss of 915 on the upside. 960, 970 is what I would be looking at. It is still looking very interesting, but the risk reward would not be that favorable. It will be around 1:1 or maybe less than that. So any dip can be utilized to build fresh longs.
Okay, that's on Mindtree. The other one is Shriram Transport. Let's take a look at what's happening with the counter. The counter is down for the second day. Hemant, any view on Shriram Transport?
Well, as far as Shriram Transport is concerned, one gets a feeling that we're walking into a bout over here. So I would be slightly neutral, and the move that we have seen has been humongous. So no, I would prefer to stay away. I believe if the stock moves from 965 to 1215, it's time for some trepidation, some profit booking, some consolidation.
Okay, so that's your view in Shriram Transport. We actually do have a query on Shriram Transport from YRP, so I'm going to take that one up and let's get another view here as well. Gaurav, YRP has a question on Shriram Transport 1200 call. I reckon he is looking to buy or she is looking to buy. What's your view on Shriram Transport and this specific call?
For one, I do not prefer buying at the money, irrespective of which stock you are referring, or even for the index for that matter. Second, it has always seen a very strong move, and there's a hurdle at levels of 12.15. So if somebody wants to be long in the name, buy above levels of 12.15, 12.20. You can buy then a 12.40 call option once it crosses 12.15 level. The reason is that if you see on daily charts, you will see a lot of spikes coming in. There are longer upper shadows at levels of 12.15, which generally means that it goes and touches those level and then retraces very sharply. So just to avoid that, it is always better that we buy above such crucial or critical levels. So in my opinion, buy only if it trades or sustains above level of 12.15.
Okay, the other stock that we want to talk about is also DV's Lab. Now, numbers were in line with estimates, but the counter has managed to rally significantly. It's up 4 to 5%. It's up over 5%, 2067 on the index. Gaurav, any view on DV's Lab?
Divis has been the strongest name and one of the cleanest chart among the pharma space. And even at the current juncture, the trend is looking very strong. It has already seen a strong move. If somebody wants to buy, the ideal level would be to buy around levels of 2030, where we have again seen a swing high being made. Keep a stop loss of 1990 and play for a level of 2080. At the current juncture, if somebody has bought, keep riding. It can go towards 2100, but the risk would not be that favorable.
Okay, and Z Entertainment is the other one that we want to talk about, considering it is looking at a little bit of a, well, I would say an up move, but this is after 2 straight days of very sharp declines coming through. Open interest, of course, is suggesting that there is an increase in OI, so there is some longs building in, but I'm sure hidden here would also be some shorts which are being covered. It's up 3% for now. It's at around 233, 234 when it comes to spot price. Heyman, your view on Z Entertainment, how would you address the stock?
Like you said, some long build-up coming in. Yes, I think there will be some short covering, but yeah, around 6.5% long build-up. It will be a risky trade because we are trying to play for something which is in an established downtrend. Obviously, there's no question of shorting if it's gone from 300 to 220. So it would be a high risk trade, but I would suggest buy the 250 call option. I think that's the only way I would play this, because too late, too short, too early to buy. But the long build up and the short cover, a little bit of short covering would seem to suggest we've gone down 25, 30%. I think small bounces on the anvil, so I'd buy the 250 call.
Okay, we also have a query on Bajaj Finserv from F&O Student, and he's actually looking to sell the Bajaj Finserv futures. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the futures have already been sold at around 95.75. It's currently, the spot price is 95.97. So there's a chance that the viewer is making a little bit of a loss right now. Okay, so there you have the February futures are at 95.90, a 15-point loss. Gaurav, not a substantial loss at this point in time, but it's certainly a very risky bet considering the Bajaj FinTwins continue to advance. What would your advice be when it comes to the viewer? The futures have been short at 95.75.
See, when you want to trade, whether it's a long or a short, always remember that you buy a trend and you short a trend. You don't enter into just a stock. These were very strong names. We are seeing consistent higher high, higher lows. The trend formation is very strong. These are the names that one should be adding on dips. So in my opinion, exiting the futures, it's not in loss. So I think it's a good decision that if he exits the future, do not be short. Rather than if there's a good pullback, one can try to create fresh long positions, but I would not be agreeing with keeping the short positions open.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Let's also address some of the other stocks which have moved up. Cadila Healthcare is the top F&O gainer. Currently, it's up 5%. Post a strong set of results that came out. Heyman, any view on Cadila Healthcare?
11% long build up looks good. Well, it's more 10%. So yes, I would be positive. Buying fresh? No.
Okay, and a view on Jubilant FoodWorks as well. Now, this one has, of course, gone on ahead and touched highs of about well over 1950, but it's looking at a little bit of a correction in today's day of trade. It's not a substantial correction at all, given the kind of recent history that the stock has seen. It's at around 1908. That's where its spot price is. Gaurav, would you take this opportunity to buy into Jubilant FoodWorks, which has otherwise seen quite a bit of momentum towards the upside?
I would not. It's very easy for me to answer this one because I have just shared the pattern with some of our clients as well. It's formed a bearish harmonic pattern. We call it a deep crab pattern, a very extension pattern. It generally means that it's been in the overbought zone, and everybody would agree with that. So I would not be a buyer. I would rather be careful if somebody has bought, whether in cash and futures. I would be a little bit skeptical. It can slip some more. It's just started. I'm not saying there can be a 20-30% dip, but there can be a good dip from the current levels.
Gaurav, I want to view on TVS Motors. Yesterday, it managed to move up, seeing short covering, then ended pretty much at the same level. Today, again, there is a 3% spike that's come in. What's your chart reading on TVS Motors?
It has a hurdle at 480, and if the momentum, if it passes above 480, one can buy for a target of 490, 495 with a stop loss of 475, and it will also come out of a range break. So that again will be very positive for the name. So in my opinion, buy above levels of 480. These are spot levels I'm talking about. You can have a corresponding futures accordingly and keep a 5 rupee stop loss, play for 10-15 rupee target.
Okay, and another tough stock that has been tough to trade is Piramal Enterprises of late, because what this one has seen is considerable amount of correction. So, a few weeks ago, the stock began at around 1420, perhaps even below that, and eventually it went to well over the mark of 1700 rupees per share, and then eventually it came back down and is back at around 1450 odd. But over the past 2 or 3 days, it has also seen some amount of recovery. To what extent is this earlier shorts being covered, and to what extent is this seeing fresh longs? That's the question that we need some answers towards. But Heyman, your view on Piramal Enterprises at these levels, long, short, or avoid?
Would be avoid. It's showing a nominal 1% OI addition. That means nothing. Like you said, it could be a long shot, whatever. Not showing anything much. We've come up from 1320 to 1480, so we've already come off 10%. If we take out 1480, I think then we got an upside coming in, but it could move either way. So, and I think the markets are a bit toppish. So no, I would say not trade at this point in time.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on the stock. Let's just take one more stock before SRF is the other stock that actually I wanted to talk about. It's rallied significantly. Heyman, you have a view on SRF?
Well, frankly speaking, there isn't much to give a view on Darshan. It's in a multi-year uptrend. I think technical derivatives don't seem to apply much. I mean, that's on a lighter note. We remain posting consistently higher tops and bottom, all-time highs, no known resistance levels. So, yes, I think it seems fine. But once again, the stock has moved 10% in the last 3 trading sessions. I'd wait for a small cool-off before going long, but it remains safely ensconced in a longer-term uptrend. It has been for multiple years, so I would look for a dip to add.
Okay, well, on that note, I'm going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Heyman and Gaurav, for joining us and taking us through their views on the markets. But don't forget to check our futures and options pages on BloombergQuint.com.
Okay, with that, it's a wrap on today's edition of the F&O Show. For more news and updates, stay tuned to BloombergQuint.